this here is my Merge Masters 2025 entry. It is a cut down rapid strike that's been mounted to an arm brace so I can use it like a gauntlet. I'm going to talk about how I built it. We're going to start up here and work our way down. But first, time for a build montage. Starting up here, we've got a EVA foam, just like a floor mat is what it was. I bought a pack of them. I used some on my workbench and some for this. So I cut that down. I looked around for templates and decided just to design my own. It was simple enough. So I cut that out, and then with a heat gun, just kind of warping it, and then mounted the strap there with E6000 and hot glue. And then the retaliator pieces up here, along with the EVA foam, are held together with barbed contact cement. So inside here, there's a strap I've mounted that runs around the arm brace, and there's a clip on that. And then there's just a bit of hot glue up top to keep it from wiggling. So it is removable if I ever needed to. I don't see why, but I decided to do that just in case. And then down here, I've got some Velcro so I could stick any patch I would like on that spot just to fill up the space. I think it looks nice. Here I removed the logo, just sort of numbering and such, with some sanding and what I believe was nail polish remover. And then now this, we'll cover the inside here. This little trigger mechanism I designed is 3D printed. Got bolts, pen spring, and a rubber band are the only non-3D printed parts of it besides the electronics. And that'll shoot out, and then you can press those two buttons there. There's two armor-on switches in there. I believe that's what they're called. And those are hooked up, and they run down here. I got them all zip tied in place so they stay out of the way. To this plug, which goes into the blaster, is a 3-pronged plug, which Out of Darts had on clearance, and I was like, I could use that. I could use that so it is removable, so I can disconnect it. So this, when you take the blaster off to service it, you don't have to keep it tethered to the arm brace. Right there, as you can see, that's a 3D printed bracket. That's epoxied in place, and there's 4 bolts running between the blaster, through that bracket, into the metal bracket on the arm brace. So it is on there. It shouldn't go anywhere. Back here, as you can see, there's a voltmeter, That's in a nice convenient spot. If I'm using it, I can just look down and figure out where my battery's at, but I can turn it off if I need to. Moving forward, you've got the battery tray here. I had to order a smaller battery because nothing I had would fit there. And so it's just a real small little, I think it's 450 milliamp hours. Just a little one in there, and then I have some adapters to take it from XD30 to 60. And up here, this is where the gearbox in the Rapid Strike is normally, and it's still there. I had to replace the worm gear because I lost it in disassembling and reassembling it, so I asked around and found out there were some 3D files, so I printed the worm gear, and it's done just fine ever since I got it in there and lubricated and glued in place. So that's about the same. The gearbox is still the same. The motor is a Valkyrie motor, which is a 3S motor. This is a 2S system though. I didn't want the rate of fire to be extreme, so I went with that. And then the wheels, and then I guess moving forward, flywheel cage, which is in there. You have 2 fangs, which this is the first time I've used the fancier $8 motors in a build, because I had some Daybreak wheels that I bought a long time ago, and I figured, well, if I've got fancy wheels, I might as well use fancy motors. So I put those in there. I tried using a motor spanning board I had. I think I broke that a while back, so I just wired it up like normal. And then there's actually this is probably one of my best wiring jobs internally. The Rapid Strike is pretty nice to wire up. There's a lot of space to run wires and glue stuff in place. And then the magazine release is just one I found, I believe, on Thingiverse. It's just an extended, it helps. So you can't see down there as well when you're wearing it. And up here, where this right here is a seam, this is still Rapid, I guess, this is Rapid Strike. And then this is also Rapid Strike. Same Rapid Strike. And then this is Strong Arm. Strong Arm slide. So that's the only separate blaster that went into this. The rest of this, there was a lot more cutting, but it was just repurposing parts from the same blaster. So that's the stock piece, but I chopped off the end of the stock, and then I flipped it upside down, and then I put some acrylic sheet on top there just to fill that gap in where I could mount my voltmeter. So that's on there. And same with up here, there's an acrylic sheet in there just to give me surface for the epoxy. I have this really nice spot up here where the battery tray used to be. It's too small now to use as a battery tray, and I knew I had this space, but I wanted to use it because it's a nice compartment that can be removed. So I took a $1.25 laser pointer from the Dollar Tree, dissected it, pulled out the laser, put a resistor on it, put a 9-volt adapter on it, so there's a 9-volt in here, and a little circuit, and a switch, and then the little laser comes right out the hole where your end strike barrel lug would lock into. Paint-wise, it is I started with a vinyl dye silver that I had left over from last year's Merge Masters. Just a little bit, and I mainly tried to get the spots I knew I wanted to have that silver coming through, like it had been worn down. So I wasn't worried about total coverage of the blaster. And then I went in with a tan vinyl dye, which I had for a different project, and I used that on everything. That's the base coat on everything, and it turned out nicely. I figured vinyl dye, being intended for fabric, would do just fine on foam that has a bit of flex to it, but not a lot. Once I had the tan all done, I went in, took the tape off, and just went through my process of, all right, I'm gonna block it out. I want this color, and this color. So I go in and I do the solid color, and then I go in with black and I start doing like those lines, add the detail, and then there's some different browns in there, trying to grimy, rusty look. So I go in and I add that. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed me going over to build. If you got any tips on integrations, let me know. Something you saw and you're like, well, you could actually, this would make it a lot easier. I'd like to know. This is only my second integration. I think I'm happy with it, considering I still don't know what I'm doing. So, thanks for watching.